I'm going to be opening the program today with a quote once said by a wise man. He said, "The law sees everyone and the law sees nobody." Think about it. With that, I'll be welcoming you to another interesting episode of the Law Gallery, coming to you from the Lagos studios of KAFTAN Television. I remain Khalid, Bada. And remember, last week after our discussion about the election petition judgment, I told you that this week we'll be bringing in another interesting topic. This week we'll be talking about the ownership and the possession of minerals, raw minerals found. Now, I don't know if you've seen a video making rounds on the social media where some men, about a group of men, about 4 or 5, found what can be described as a boulder of gold in Ghana. Now, the video made rounds and there were a lot of opinion. Oh, they should have taken it home. Oh, it should have been taken to the security operatives. Oh, it should be handed over down up to the government because it is a national treasure and it can't be possessed by anyone. Now, there is a lot of opinion about this and we can only turn to the law to know which is correct. For that, I'm bringing in a brilliant practitioner. You've met him, and we'll be discussing with him again today. But before we go, let's take our news update for the week. I'll be back.
Hello and welcome on the news updates of the Law Gallery today. I am Esther Agu. On the news today, a senior advocate of Nigeria, J.S. Okutepa, has advocated for election petition tribunals in Nigeria to be properly guided in differentiating between pre- and post-election controversies when adjudicating electoral cases. In a comprehensive analysis, Okutepa noted some tribunals are treating fundamental qualification issues as pre-election matters outside their jurisdiction by citing electoral guidelines. He insists qualifications can be challenged both before and after polls. The legal experts referenced the Court of Appeal and Supreme Court's judgment stating qualification is a dual pre- and post-election issue entertainable by electoral courts. He highlighted provisions of the Constitution and Electoral Act listing qualification as an election petition ground. Okutepa contended it is unsafe to view qualification strictly as an internal party affair. He argues that constitution supremacy means its qualification requirements override contradictory guidelines. He added that disregarding the constitution with impunity should not go unpunished whether in pre- or post-election litigation. The senior advocates stressed that maintaining technicalities over substance will allow unqualified candidates to take public offices legally. He called on the judiciary to hold the political class accountable through pre- and post-election mechanisms. Okutepa concluded that proper guidance from higher courts is needed so tribunals nationwide consistently uphold constitutional qualification standards for elected offices. He said this would entrench Nigeria's democratic principles and checkmate audacious impunity. Away from that story, the organizers of the C.O. Anna San Memorial Colloquium have declared the 3rd edition of the special occasion Advancing Information, Exchange and Human Rights within the Legitimate Calling. This year's colloquium with the theme Practice Management, the outbreak of every impactful legal career, will hold in Onitsha, Anambra State in October 25, 2023. It returns to Onitsha where the late C.O. Anna San practiced and chaired the NBA Onitsha branch. The yearly program cultivates reflection among Nigerian attorneys with respect to their parts in national advancement. This version will handle progression, arranging, publicizing, and sex imbalance among case lawyers. Thought pioneers and recognized specialists will lead discourses on the key subjects. The occasion combines physical and virtual interest by means of Zoom. Enlistment subtle elements will be shared. Hence, born in 1935, the late C.O. Anna had an illustrious legal career spanning over 4 decades. He served the NBA in various capacities and was conferred Senior Advocate of Nigeria in 2005 before his demise in 2019. The Memorial Colloquium celebrates Anna's life and legacies. It promises enriching seasons focused on elevating legal practice management. Organizers invite lawyers to save the date and contribute charting the course for excellence. On to the next. A Nigerian-born journalist, David Ndeyin, has alerted the United Nations Human Rights Council to alleged attempts by the current Nigerian government to abduct him from Ghana, his country of residence. In a video he posted online, Ndeyin stated that he spoke at the 54th session of the UNHCR in Geneva about what he described as ongoing attempts to silence him and put an end to his work as a journalist, work using illegal rendition and diplomatic meddling. According to him, the terrible regime is currently trying to prevail on Ghana, which historically is a close ally of Nigeria, to violate the non-refoulement principle and have him return to Nigeria, where he said he would almost certainly face imprisonment, torture, and extrajudicial execution. The journalist stated that the situation had made him unsettled, as he had been recently compelled to always be on the alert for his personal safety. He had earlier alleged that President Bola Tinubu was after his life because he revealed that he was involved in underhand dealings in the past, stressing that the Nigerian government was mounting pressure on Ghanaians to repatriate him to Nigeria. And that will be all for the news update today. I am Esther Agbo. Bye for now.
Sequel to our video clips of some Ghanaian men who'd found gold making rounds on the internet. We took to the street of Lagos to sample their opinions of people on what will be their reactions if they find gold or any mineral resources in their vicinity.
If I happen to be the person, with the situation of things in Nigeria, I can never show it to him, but I'm going to sell it off.
Of course, as a patriotic citizen of the country, definitely when you see something like this, you have to get the government involved. You have to inform the government to know about it so that they will make use of it appropriately. Because as it is now in Nigeria, you see a lot of things are going wrong. They are making things difficult for people. You can look, for instance, now, the petroleum we are talking about. We are refining, we are having this petroleum here, but look at the suffering in the faces of the masses. So you now ask yourself, what have they been able to do with the one we have at hand? So if ordinarily, as a patriotic citizen, as I have said, when you discover this, though I still have my doubt if it is possible for an individual to discover this in a particular compound, but if eventually such a thing happens, I think it's necessary for you to get the government involved. But if you look at it from the other way around, from a logical point of view, based on what the government is even doing as per the citizen of the country, you will feel reluctant to even do that. Because you will ask yourself this question, what are they even doing with the one they have at hand right now? But just to do the needful, I think you will still have to let the government come in and do the needful, but they should take care of the citizen at the end of the day so that everybody will feel comfortable, because there is a lot of suffering in the land and the government seems not to be doing anything about that. So I think they should sit up and do something about it so that they will encourage the citizens. If at all they discover something of this nature, they will be able to get the government involved.
In that kind of situation, I would have returned it to the appropriate government, yeah, because that's the law already. That if you find such thing in your house, return it back. Yeah, I would have returned it back. Maybe they would have awarded the person. Yeah, they will award the person. Yeah, so the government cannot take something like that from you and does not reward you. So they will reward you so that you will be a good citizen. Yeah,
can never hand over it to the government, because this the software self for this Nigeria now is too much. So I will keep it on myself, and I will know how I will do it and sell it and make my money. Because I'm a bricklayer. I dey suffer a lot. Cement now it don't cost 6,000 for cement. To see work to do sef now, I will come see go come carry and go give my government. It can never happen.
Inside my compound, I dig a ground and I found a gold. That gold is my property. As for me, it's my property. I'm the owner of the gold.
That's mine already because I have the seal of the land, so that's going to be mine. If I ask to give the government will always give me token. And not even a scholarship, a token. If something of billion, might be giving 1 million.
If it is 50%, I'll hand it over to government.
Trustness no dey for them, so that's why I can never do it.
They will have discovered it by themselves before I bought the land. So as I've bought the land, everything on that land is belong to me. It's my property. So if government now discover it, then because of say they have power, hey, they approach me. What I want, I will tell them, this is okay, this is my condition, this is my condition. If they abide with it, then I give it to them. If they don't abide with it, I will drag the government to court. Then the judgment will.
Before I have the land, why don't the government come to the land and dig out the gold I've seen? What happened to them then? So me having that, I don't think that is illegal because I have it. But every document about, and I don't mind going to any lengths. Though they do say they don't win government, but I can win government over this. I mean, I'm not that stupid that I will release that.
It is important to know that according to the Minerals and Mining Act 2007, all lands in which mineral resources have been found in commercial quantities shall be acquired by the federal government in accordance with the Land Use Act.
Welcome back to the program. It's still the Law Gallery coming to you from the Lagos studios of KAFTAN Television. And before we go on the news updates break, I told you that I'll be coming with a brilliant legal practitioner who will be engaging in the discussion of our topic for this week. I'm joined by Barrister Adebisi Spencer, with whom we'll be discussing the ownership and possession of national treasures found. Maybe you found a national treasure on your land, maybe gold, diamonds, or crude oil, perhaps, which is a common one that could be found here in Nigeria. What do you do? What is the next step to take? Is it yours? Is it yours to take? Does it belong to the government? These are all we'll be trashing out in the discussion today. Thank you for joining us, Barrister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Khalid.
Glad to have you on the program.
Same here.
Now, I'm sure you saw the video.
Yeah, I did.
You know, immediately I saw the video, I went into the comment section and I saw a lot of opinions. Oh, I would have taken this home. Oh, there's nothing, nobody can tell me to drop this. Some said it belongs to the government, while some said whatever you find on your land, perhaps you own the land. I bought a land now and I was digging through my backyard and I saw crude oil. They said it belongs to me. Some said no, it belongs to the government. Let me just push it on straight. Who does it belong to?
Okay, basically,
yes,
according to the provisions of the Constitution of Nigeria and also the Land Use Act, these are one of the few provisions of the law guiding matters like this. The ownership, to start with, just so that our viewers at home can have a better understanding, the ownership of the land is vested in the governor of every state. This is clearly stated in the Land Use Act. It is vested in the governor of a state. So he is holding it as a trustee on behalf of the people of the state. Now, when it comes to mineral resources is exclusively owned, controlled, and managed by the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Okay.
So in that way, the governor himself does not have ownership of the mineral resources. Now, if the governor is giving the land to an individual who is living in that state, remember that even the governor does not have ownership. So basically, in this case, where we have such a scenario, we trace it back to the root of the acquisition of this land, the real owners, and that is simply the federal government.
So generally what you're saying is the land belongs to the state government.
Yes.
While whatever mineral resources is being found on such land belongs to the federal government.
Correct.
Okay. Now, and you're also understanding that the land belongs to the state government. How about a person that has bought the land? I took my money to buy a particular portion of land. Inadvertently or indirectly, it doesn't belong to me, right?
Yes.
that means, okay, that means whatever I establish on the land still indirectly belongs to the state government or the federal government.
Now, technically, you own your land,
Okay.
but in the real sense of it, whatever has to do with mineral resources on that said land belongs to the government. Now, take note, mineral resources belongs to the government because it is a matter of national interest. So it is just the land that you own. However, the federal government owns the mineral resources in the land, beneath the land, on the air of the land. That is just what the Constitution states.
Okay, now, what are the things we could perhaps consider as just mineral resources? Now, I understand that national treasure like gold, crude oil, or precious stones,
Bitumen, yes.
bitumen and all can be considered as natural resources. But our agriculture, trees, let's say we have an historic tree, maybe an old oak tree on my land, a land I bought. Some of these trees or plants are considered to be national treasures. I don't know if it exists in Nigeria, but I've seen records in other countries where it will be stated that, okay, this tree is a national treasure because it's maybe 200, 300 years old and it's considered to be a national treasure. Now, if I have such land and I have such thing on my land, am I in control of that kind of tree and say, okay, I want to cut it down because it is on my land?
Ordinarily, you know, this is why people need to make proper research on lands they are buying before they go on. There are places we call sacred zones. Just like you rightly stated, some natural trees and all of that belong to the federal government themselves. Such land in the first place should not be issued out for sale. Hence, if you are getting such land and you are buying it, then you're buying a land that is not free from government acquisition, because at the long run, the government will come and take it. And when you do that and you tamper with such tree, for example, you'll be regarded as going past your bound, that is encroaching on the sacred zone that has been listed out by the government. So basically.
Now, while going further into the comments in the comment section of the video I saw, someone established the fact that those men that found such gold, they can even be arrested and be labeled to be illegal miners. Is that possible?
Yes, you see, before you can be eligible to begin to mine in Nigeria, regardless of whatever the mineral resource is in that sense, you must be licensed to start with. And one of the issues that the Nigerian government has had over the years as regards mining is the fact that there are a lot of persons who are illegal miners, especially who are not even Nigerians. Now, we have other companies who have been licensed already, leasing out their license again to other companies, especially foreigners. Now, in that state, they are regarded as illegal miners. And in times back, the Nigerian government, with the help of the law enforcement agents, they've been able to arrest most of them and sentence most of the times, nothing less than 5 years. Now, if a person should find such mineral resources, just like in the case of this instance, the video that is going on around the social media and everything, you would realize that these persons are not, they are naive, so to speak, because someone who is very conversant with what the law states about the acquisition of mineral resources would have hidden it, honestly. But they were naive, even to the point of making a video.
Videos.
So now, in their case, the government You know, that's actually happened in Ghana, but I am saying now that if such should have happened in Nigeria, our government has every right to take back that gold from them. However, there is a provision of the Mining and Mineral Act, which states that the federal government, at its own discretion, I'm breaking down this, the section of that act, and I think it's section 1, subsection 3, states that the government, the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, can decide at its discretion to release back to such person who initially won such mineral resources. But take note of the word at their discretion, not as a matter of right in this particular instance. So
now, another interesting one that might interest our audience is the network poles. I don't want to mention any particular network, but telecommunication network poles.
Okay, that's mast.
Masts.
Okay.
You notice that some of these masts are being erected on personal property of people. In such consideration, and it is to be understood that they can't just erect those masts anywhere.
Yes.
They have to detect maybe the network strength there, or there has to be a particular thing that is embedded in such land for them to erect it there. In such cases, can it also be considered to be a national treasure, or people actually sell out those lands, or maybe they lease it out to these telecommunication companies?
In this case, it is quite direct. I own my land. This is not directly interfering with the natural resources, which is controlled and managed by the federal government. So a landowner can decide to lease out any part of his land for such commercial purposes. So it does not in any way infringe on the natural resources.
All right. You made mention of mining companies earlier. Let's say, for an example, one is interested in having such. Are there particular steps to take? Are there what are the offices where are the offices one is expected to visit in order to be able to be licensed for such activity?
You know, the whole of the mineral resources of the nation is brought under the office of the Minister of Mineral Resources, and under that ministry too, they have a particular unit called the MCO. That is the Mining Cadastral Office. Okay. The Mining Cadastral Office. So this is your number one go-to for anyone who is intending to go into mining of any kind of mineral resources. You go to this office, which is directly under the Ministry of Mineral Resources and Development, and after you've contacted them, some of the processes, some of the requirements, the basic requirements, you must have been an expert in that field before going for such license, and also you must have been a registered company too. You must have been registered under CSC, and then also there are other requirements like we have so many of them, but basically you must have that level of years of expertise in the area of mining before you can actually approach them.
Now, let's say for an example, I was digging in my backyard and I found what is to be considered unnatural resources. And you know, it has been established that it is possible that one is tagged an illegal miner if one finds such thing and maybe withholds it. What are the legal steps to take when people find such things?
Well, first, it's just sane and normal for anybody who finds such to want to report to the nearest police station, as you might not be abreast with the right channels and authorities. Like, not everybody is aware or knows where an office of the Ministry of Mining and Mineral Resources is located in their locality. The first thing for every good, for every Nigerian with a good, every good Nigerian with a good mindset, yes, and intention, is to visit, of course, the nearest police station. Yes, or the easiest for a layman who does not understand where to contact, it should be the nearest police station. Yes.
Now, let's say for an example, one finds such natural resources and maybe decides to keep it. Decides to keep it, let's say. What are some of the consequences that might arise from this? Just so the audience would understand.
That is if caught. That is if caught, but then, basically, if you are caught, I think that because we do not usually have many of cases like that, where someone finds a very small amount of the mineral resources, let's use gold for example, but most of the major cases we have is people who do not have license and they go into mining, which is of course illegal mining because they are mining on a large scale. But for someone who finds it, like I said, if the person is aware, he could just go to the nearest police station. But where the person is not aware and the person is found with such mineral resources, the person will be considered as one who won the mineral resources, like he found it. In that way, under the law generally, there's something we call mens rea and actus reus, which would amount to the ingredients of committing a crime. Your intention and then the action. Now, I do not have the intention to steal. In fact, I was not even aware. Even with the fact that ignorance under the law is not an excuse, but then in this case, I was not aware. I never had the intention to steal, although I know what the mineral resources is. So, according to that provision of the law that states that the government, the federal government, can decide to return it. So now, I think it will be a matter of, in my own opinion, like I said, we don't usually have matters of minute instances like this, but in my own opinion, I'll say that the government would use its discretion to actually forgo and leave such to that person as the winner of the said mineral resources.
Thank you very much, Barrister Spencer. Now, on the flip side, just wrapping up the interview, what would be your advice to our audience, basically about finding materials or digging in the backyard and finding something, keeping it? What would be your advice to our audience?
Well, I would say that as good people of this great nation, Nigeria, when you find something like that, now that we know, especially for our viewers at home, now that you know that these resources belong to the federal government, and you are also aware now that depending on the size, the government in its discretion can decide to let you keep it. The government can let you have it. You understand? If you ever find such, report it to the nearest police station. We never can tell. You might be lucky. They might ask you, the federal government might ask you to keep it. However, if you ever have intentions of going into mining on a larger scale, you should do the right thing, and the right thing is getting the proper license. Just contact the mining cadastral office, which is directly under the Ministry of Mineral Resources, Solid Mineral Resources. They would give you all of the basic things that you need to provide. And trust me, it is not as difficult as you think it is. At least with that, you have rest of mind and you can mine on a larger scale.
Thank you very much for your time, Barrister Spencer.
Thank you very much.
I hope that if I invite you again on my program, you will reply to my call.
Of course, yes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Now, there you have it, there, audience. If you find something on your land, just leave it to the government. We said earlier that the law sees nobody and the law sees everybody. And we need to understand that the government is the law. The government sees you and might decide to reward you. But if you take the law into your hand, the law sees nobody and it is willing to punish anybody that has transgressed such act. Now, with that, I'll be wrapping up the program for today. To return same time, same station, and I remain Khalid. Bada. Bye for now.